Thank you to those voters in Milford, Pennsylvania. Great folks. As you just heard, as crises pile up, more Americans are getting fed up. Joe Concha and Kevin Waller are back on the show in studio tonight to tell us who's right and who's wrong about the president's performance. Gentlemen, thank y'all so much for being in studio.
Oh, it's good to see you, man.
I like to feel the energy. You know?
I know.
I can see the six-pack now.
That's good. Well played. So, Kevin, you got to tell me, I was just talking with the folks. Families are saying, look, I'm picking my gas bill or a regular bill right now. They're really frustrated. And these aren't just right-wingers. These are former Democrats, independent voters.
It's true. And you see it in the president's numbers. Listen, this election is going to be a bread and butter election, as we know. We can talk about Roe versus Wade, as we did last week. We can talk about other issues. But inflation and the prices at the gas pump are going to be the main indicators heading into November. We've got 170 days to turn the tide on some of these key issues. You saw baby formula pop up. You saw the White House spring into action with legislation, with these airlifts. They've got to provide more of that kind of visual evidence that they're seeking to control these costs in these last 6 months.
Joe, it seems like this is a reactive administration. They were warned about the baby formula crisis. And then when the poll numbers start to drop, when the media coverage starts to increase, all of a sudden they parachute in, but the damage has already been done. And that's not the only thing. It's gas prices, it is the border, it's all of these crises that somehow they don't see it until the media coverage changes or the polls.
Inflation was transitory, they told us, right? We didn't see it coming. And then it was Vladimir Putin's fault. And now we see what's happening in terms of it was below 2% when this president took office. It's now above 8%. That's a problem, right? Crime skyrocketing. That's a problem. Gas prices, as you mentioned, that's a problem. Obviously, what happened in Afghanistan. We didn't see the Taliban coming so quickly. And then they take Kabul in the time it takes to deliver a pizza, right? And then Ukraine and Russia invading there. We could go on and on with this. This administration has a communications problem, clearly, because we see from the president 2 tweets just in the past week, which were very, very telling. First, he said that there was no vaccine when he entered office. That's Joe Biden. Obviously, that was a lie because 1 million people a day were getting the vaccine at that point. Then he also says, with inflation, if we only raise taxes on corporations, that will lower inflation. No sane economist, even Kevin, couldn't defend that at this point.
So I just play an economist on TV.
Right, thank you. Kevin, what
It's a communications problem, clearly.
It's true. Kevin, what happened to Joe Biden? He was once known as the greatest retail politician. You loved to put him in front of people because he could sell a story. He was always, Uncle Joe in that way, but he connected with voters. It seemed like he's lost that appeal.
I think you're absolutely right. Listen, I'm all an advocate for let Biden be Biden. I want to see more of these town halls. I want to see a town hall on Fox News, for example. He's got to talk to these audiences. He does so well in those town hall audiences when he's fielding questions from the people, when he sees and feels their pain as everyone is experiencing universally.
But not these days, Kevin. Not these days. He hasn't been doing so well.
He needs to
which
do,
is why they put him on a leash. Is because he cannot do that anymore. What do you think is driving it, Joe?
The stat here is that the president has not done a broadcast news interview since the Super Bowl.
Why?
How long ago was that? Right? 3.5 months. Why? His handlers, I would think, are saying he does more damage when he does these interviews than he does good, right? Or here's the thing, though. It's an election year. He has to sell his agenda. If he doesn't, they're going to get wiped out in the House and the Senate, yet they're keeping him away from reporters, away from the cameras. It's only teleprompter and tweets, and that's not how you win elections.
Real quickly, Kevin, what is the story that Democrats are going to sell in this next election? Because they need a story.
Well, I think as you're seeing it right now out of the White House, the president says, don't compare me to the almighty, compare me to the alternative. So you're seeing a White House pivot to talk about the baby formula shortage. 192 Republicans voted against that on the floor of House of Representatives. That's a key issue before the American people. They're talking about that. But to Joe's point, I don't even need to see more press conferences. I want to see him do those town halls where he's interacting with everyday voters, where he's fielding those questions, where there is no censor in terms of what the questions are saying. He's got to talk directly to the American people and level with all of us. That's the Joe Biden that we love, that I love, that won that election.
Just like you said, I want him connecting with voters, but I want him to bring me a victory as well. Get these gas prices down. Get this formula.
We saw a victory on Ukraine.